Before Jesus disappeared into the cloud, he told his disciples to go out into the world and make disciples out of all people and baptize them. The timing was perfect, as the Roman Empire had brought peace and good road networks, and soon the disciples and new believers were traveling far and wide to teach people about Jesus. One day, God told Philip to go to a particular road. When he was there, a chariot came along and God told him to get in. Inside, he found the treasurer to the great Queen Candace of the Ethiopians, who was reading Isaiah. Philip explained to him as they travelled, and when he saw some water outside, the official asked to be baptized. Philip baptized him. Then, when he came out of the water, Philip disappeared and found himself transported to a place called Azotus, where he continued travelling and preaching the gospel. The official went back to Ethiopia, praising and rejoicing. Later, Paul and Barnabas sailed to Cyprus, where they were teaching and preaching, when they met a leader and magician. The leader wanted to hear what they had to say, but the magician wanted to stop them. But Paul was filled with the Holy Spirit and looked at him and said, "You are the son of the devil, an enemy to all goodness, full of lies and wickedness. Will you not stop trying to mess up God's work? Now the hand of the Lord is upon you, and you will be blind for some time." Immediately the magician could not see, and the leader believed. Next, Paul and Barnabas set sail for Antioch. There they spoke about Jesus in the synagogue, and everyone was very interested and excited, and the next Saturday almost the whole city gathered to hear them. But the Jewish leaders were jealous and started to argue with them. But Paul and Barnabas spoke up and told everyone that the Gentiles could now be part of God's way too. The Gentiles began celebrating and praising God, and many of them decided to follow Jesus. But the Jews went and convinced the leaders to chase Paul and Barnabas out of the city. But they shook the dust from their feet and went on to Iconium, where they spoke about Jesus. Then on to Lystra, where Paul prayed for a man who couldn't walk, and he was healed. Paul began to preach there too, and all the people were listening. But people had chased them all the way from Iconium and Antioch, and they started throwing stones at Paul. They thought he was dead and dragged him out of the city. But when the disciples got to him, he stood up. The next day they travelled onwards to a place called Derbe. Like this, the good news about Jesus started to spread over the world. And in fact, it continued to spread over the next hundreds and thousands of years. And as Christians, we are still on the same mission.